probably get experimented on. He'd probably get captured and experimented on. He'd probably, yeah.
Suarez said the smaller guys would probably hang out in the back and be in trouble.
Yeah. So I'll go Larson, since he told himself.
That's 2 for Larson, 2 for Byron now, so it's real neck and neck.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts over the offseason as you reflected on 2022? I mean, you look at the numbers, and besides not winning a points race, the numbers for you were actually pretty strong. But again,
yeah, it was unfortunate, not winning last year. I've said it for a whole year. I thought we had a strong year. It's just the wins weren't there, and that was for multiple things. I made a bunch of mistakes, and then we had some mistakes on pit road, and just we could never close. And so this whole offseason, you point out the things you thought that you struggled with, from my side to other sides, and you try to just get them better. Okay, how can we improve these things and make sure we can close out these races? And because that's we always had speed at the beginning, and then we would have something happen and kind of fade, and just how do you get better at that? And that's one of those things you have to you're always trying to figure out how to get better, and that's just one of those things that we had to really sit down, me and Jonathan, and try to figure out how we can change that stuff.
Excuse me, when you were looking at the self-reflection, what areas did you say I could, I need to maybe do this better, I can improve in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like something, big for me is trying to look ahead more, being prepared for the last third of the race. That's something that, I've kind of always struggled with a little bit in my career. And that was one thing that Jonathan and I, really tried to work on, and how can we communicate that stuff better. So that was probably one of the biggest things. There's some others, but that was the larger one.
Have you thought much about the crash at Vegas, and I think it was Homestead?
Oh yeah, I mean, I took us out of the Phoenix, making mistakes, and I mean that's on the driver at the end of the year, and our cars were fast enough to make Phoenix, even without the bonus points from wins and stuff like that. I thought running where we were before I wrecked was going to be enough to get there, and just made a mistake, and that's that's something that I got to work on. I don't really usually make those mistakes and wreck, and like I did in Vegas, and then you just subconsciously bonehead downshift, from second to third. Third is not forward, and we've done it all year, and you do that at Homestead just subconsciously. It's just crazy. So try to figure that stuff out and make it better.
Did you beat yourself up anything, or did you try to move past it quickly, or how did you?
Yeah, at the time I did. I mean, at the time you're beating yourself up about it, but I've tried to do a good job of just learning from things and moving forward, and focusing on what's ahead and the next task at hand. So beating yourself up for a little bit is healthy. It's good. You need to, and you need to learn from your mistakes, but you can't dwell on those things for too long. You got it's over and done with. You got the next job to figure out.
When you hear NASCAR being in the 75th, when you hear NASCAR being in the 75th anniversary, you getting to be a big part of that as a full-time driver, probably one of the biggest names out there in the field. What does that mean to you?
Yes, it's really neat, and growing up around the sport, growing up into it, it's really all I knew. It was pretty cool to kind of see it. It's neat to see it evolve, and ever since I was a kid, what it was to what it is now, and now to be a part of it, and to talk to my dad about him watching it from being a part of it, from the late 90s, early 2000s, to 8-9 years ago, and now watching it kind of from an outsider's perspective. It's neat to have those thoughts and conversations with Dad, and I'm really curious to see what the next decade is going to be like in this sport, and where we're going to be at. So it is special to be a part of it, especially to be a part of something that's been around for so long, and is doing some neat things right now, which was really cool. And you want to be successful in the sport, but you also want the sport to be successful as well, because that means all of us are doing well. So it's been neat to be a part of it, that's for sure, especially growing up around it. I just wanted to do what Dad did, and now I'm really lucky to be able to do it.
Where do you hope to see it evolve in the next 10 years?
Yeah, it's hard to know where it's going to be at. We've done some pretty crazy things here. I wouldn't say crazy. We've done some out of the box things the last few years. Going, this car is a massive change. Going to race on the dirt at Bristol, going to the Coliseum, going to race at the streets of Chicago. That's happened really, really fast. In the last 3 years, we've just continued to change things up, and I think that's good to an extent. I don't think you can go all in on that stuff, right? You have to remember where your roots are and what got you to this point. I would love to see us back racing internationally. You know, whether that's, you know, not even only Canada or Mexico, you know, go overseas, and I think that's great. That would be a great expanse for us. So I can definitely see it going there, and I hope that goes there, because that just is, it gets more eyes on the sport, right? You get more cultured in your sport, and you know, you go to new countries that, you know, don't know much about it. I think that's really good for the sport's longevity. So that's the biggest thing I think I can see it is, you know, going international.
One of the changes that's happening is Auto Club next week is the last race of the 2-mile configuration into a short track. What are your thoughts of the Auto Club change? Do you don't care, stay 2-mile track, or do you want more short tracks?
I definitely care. I wish they'd leave it. I think you talk to any driver who's going to come through there, they're going to tell you the same thing. That place is one of the funnest, coolest racetracks that we go to. We all said the same about Atlanta. We all said the same about Chicago and Texas, and they've evolved and they've changed. So I hate to see that place go. You know, I'm sure the half mile is going to be, it'll be fun, it'll be different, but that place is so unique, and the drivers have so much fun there, and it puts on great racing. It's just a shame that something like that is going to only have its last year, you know, next week. So you try to, it'll be a big emphasis to trying to win in the last one at the 2-mile.
Hey everyone, Zane Smith, driver number 38-4 for Front Row Motorsports. Be sure to subscribe to Frontstretch on YouTube.